Hello everyone, it's our last day in Charleston and we fly out tonight. But we are not done yet. We've got a few areas we still want to walk through and a few spots we're revisiting the old-fashioned way, just soaking it in before we head out. One more round of charm, flavor, and photo ops. Come along for the ride. Good morning, everyone. It is our final breakfast here in Charleston. And I'm going to enjoy my cappuccino. It is about 30 degrees outside, which is a lot colder than what I'm used to even as a San Franciscan. So this cappuccino really hits the spot. The weather sort of dropped incredibly from Monday, Tuesday. It started out as high 70s, low 80s, and then yesterday dropped to low 50s, and now it's high 30s, low 40s. It's a good thing that I packed some toe warmers and hand warmers. We're flying out tonight with American Airlines. Darwin has checked us in, so hopefully that's a positive sign. I mean, the shutdown is still in effect and the minimized airport staffing is still going on. So hopefully our airports is running smoothly. And I don't mind delays. I just want to be able to get home in a decent time. I do miss my fur baby and my mama. All right, we are now going to take a carriage ride through the historic part of the city. All the carriage rides have to check in with the city and declare head count and schedule and map.
Dead end, but you can't see this dead end sign right
Remember
here.
this, guys? This is the Duelers Alley.
That it was once Duelers Alley. The King's Highway is actually where George Washington rode down in 1791 when he came and visited the city of Charleston.
So we learned on our tour that this was the first building in Charleston that was purposely built as a theater, as a functioning theater. And it still is a theater today. And also, we learned that these bricks were mainly laid together or put together by children with their little hands, slave children, and that you could still see fingerprints on those bricks throughout Charleston. And we also learned that the city market didn't hold slave auctions, which I first thought, but it was the supermarket of the day, of the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s. Well, until now, right? But it's more souvenirs now, but back then it was your meat market, your fish market, and that's where all the slaves would be sent to buy their daily grocery, the household groceries. All right, lunchtime before we head back to the hotel to pick up our luggages and then head out to the airport. We are having for appetizers fried green tomatoes. I want to say that we are sort of experts now with fried green tomatoes. We've had it so much during this visit. That is fantastic. Nicely battered. Doesn't fall apart. The batter doesn't fall apart. The tomatoes doesn't fall apart. The tomato sauce, well, the tomato sauce and the grits, wonderful texture and taste, both so creamy. This is toe-to-toe with Magnolia. All right, for our entree, I am having a cup of tomato bisque. It comes as a chef's special, and a short rib grilled cheese, something different. So I'm gonna try my tomato bisque. Wow, that is thick. Yes. It's very hearty. Like, it's such a thick consistency. But very good. Very, very good. And there's whole, like not whole, chunks of tomatoes in there. Very creamy. And then for my short rib grilled cheese. Sorry, I'm gonna have to use my fork and knife. That is good taste on the short rib. Although I thought there would be more cheese. But the meat tastes really good. And it's very tender, soft. It's a very good chef special. Can you actually see the crab? How was your she crab soup?
She crab soup. That was pretty good, actually. Just wish that there's a little bit more big chunk of crabs. But it's all small chunks.
Another thing that we learned on our tour is that King Street, where we're on, the shopping area, is or was actually the King's Highway back in the day, and it connected different colonial states and cities that went all the way to Boston, Mass. Wow, can you believe that? That is long. That's almost all of the eastern seaboard. We are now at the airport and we arrived about an hour ago. It is around 4 o'clock and our flight leaves at 5:48 or 5:58, I forget which one. But we do have a stopover at Charlotte, and that layover is only about 40 minutes. So hopefully the flight goes well. So a few more interesting facts that I learned from our tour. One is that the Charleston fire trucks have been built purposely smaller than your average or normal fire trucks because they were custom made to fit the 1700s building, which were really made for a carriage or carriages. So the fire trucks has to fit those buildings. And I never really thought anything about it. We did pass by a fire station a couple of times and I didn't think twice about it. But because one passed us by, or we passed one by, and that's when she pointed out the difference. I do want to talk about our hotel, the Courtyard Marriott Historic District Hotel. It was pretty centrally located in that everything was pretty much a 10 to 15 minute walk. We did Uber at times, especially from the end of Broad Street back to our hotel, and in the evening just because we were just really tired from walking all day. But all the historic sites, well, 80% of downtown Charlotte is pretty historic, like just historical places back to back to back. So it does tire you out because there's so much to see, there's so many corners that the streets take you, so there's a lot of walking. But otherwise, the hotel was very comfortable. I actually slept really well all 3 nights, although I am still very, very sleepy right now. Hopefully, I'd be able to sleep in the plane, but again, we'll see. It becomes such a chore and a challenge to sleep on the plane for me. And the staff were great. They don't have breakfast, or they don't provide breakfast. They do have valet parking. It is $40 a night. And very clean. Rooms are very clean. One thing that I have always wanted to do is to travel with Bailey, as in flight travel. I think he's small enough to fit underneath the seat, but I'm just afraid that he'll be uncomfortable in there. And he's not the most patient fur baby, so I feel like it'll be torture for him to be underneath that seat for 4 or 5 hours. But I don't know, every time I see a fur baby come along on a flight, I try to revisit it in my mind, but I'm still not sold on it as far as him having a good time or even a decent flight being crouched underneath a seat. I don't know. What do you guys think?
But of course, don't hesitate to ask our crew members questions.
Not a full flight going to San
This airplane
Francisco.
has 8 exit doors.
Final thoughts on Charleston. I knew Charleston would be full of history, and it was. The city felt like an open-air museum with dynamic stories and architecture everywhere. What I didn't expect was how strong the food scene is. It's a true southern foodie city with seafood aplenty and a lot of pride in its cuisine. I came for the history and architecture, and food was secondary, but discovering the local flavors was a highlight. Charleston is definitely a visitor-friendly city, and the Charlestonians know how to represent their culture. This first visit was a blast. I'd love to come back for the Food and Wine Festival, so hopefully it continues for years to come. Thanks for coming along with me on this trip, and for future adventures, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So from my mind side to yours, definitely more to come. Thanks for watching. I have to eat dinner now. I am starving. We were only served drinks and cookies on a 5-hour flight. I'll see you guys next time.